Good morning, everyone. My name is Martina Morris. I'm a member of Next Steps Washington and a retired professor of Statistics and Sociology from the University of Washington, where I spent 20 years. I want to start by correcting some of the misinformation circulating that violent crime skyrocketed here last year in Washington state. The truth is, the statistics for 2021 have not yet been released, so no one can make that claim at this time. That rise that made the headlines last year, that's data from 2020, one full year before the reforms passed in 2021. But in fact, we can get a peek at some of the trends because Seattle and King County make their data available to the public in a timely way, online. In King County, felony referrals for all violent crime decreased by about 13% in 2021. This includes a 20% decrease in homicides. So let's talk about what we do know and why it matters for the legislation on the table this year. There was a 60% decline in the number of people killed by police in Washington state last year. This is not typical year-to-year variation in statistics. It is the largest decline in Washington state in 2 decades, which is as far back as the data go. It was also the largest decline seen last year in the entire United States. Washington state ranks number 1 in the country in reducing in fatal encounters with police last year. And we see this steep decline in both persons shot by police and in deaths caused by high-speed vehicle pursuits. So why is it we are so concerned about hot pursuits? Because they are dangerous. They are the number 2 cause of deaths during encounters with police, and they account for as much as 20% of all fatalities in some years. Since 2015, over half of the persons killed in these pursuits have been bystanders and passengers and other officers. The accidents and fatalities happen both in crowded urban centers and on sparse rural highways. It is important to understand that no one disputes that pursuits are dangerous. This is acknowledged by law enforcement as well, and there are some jurisdictions that simply ban these pursuits entirely. The legislation we passed last year did not ban pursuits, it restricts them. It established a clear standard for balancing the danger posed to the public by a fleeing suspect and the danger posed to the public by the pursuit itself. Pursuits are allowed when there is probable cause that the suspect has or will commit a violent crime or a reasonable suspicion of a DUI. There has to be an imminent threat of safety to others and no other way to identify or apprehend the subject. They also need permission from a supervisor. This is the right balance. It makes the risk associated with the pursuit commensurate with the risk of not apprehending the suspect. HB 1788 wants to roll back these protections and allow pursuits when there's reasonable suspicion that a suspect is committing any crime, even a low-level, non-violent offense. A national study on police chases by the International Association of Police Chiefs found that 91% of high-speed chases were initiated as a result of non-violent offenses. So we ask you, is the need to apprehend a suspect in a property crime worth the life of a bystander in collateral damage? It could be your mother, or your son, or your sister. They just happen to be at the wrong place at the wrong time. This is why we oppose the rollback in HB 1788. I'd like to close by taking a moment to reflect on what we actually know we achieved last year. We can't say for certain that the legislation caused the steep decline in persons killed by police. But what we can say is this decline is much larger than typical year-to-year variation. It's not part of a nationwide trend because the national statistics are stable. This is a Washington state story, and there's no evidence of a spike of violent crime. What law enforcement achieved last year was remarkable. We should celebrate this achievement. We should let them know we are proud of this because it is a success. There's no reason to put it at risk by rolling back the very legislation that helped to make it possible. Thank you.
Woo!